Hello Wolfpack, I've got a fresh piece of analysis to give you today to narrow down our bottom prediction quite a bit. Now, I don't want to officially narrow it down, but I'm just going to show you what it is. And it's essentially bringing the bottom prediction from a Q4 bottom, which I'll explain in a second for people who haven't seen this channel before, to a bottom between October and November. I'm going to show you why in a second. Now, for those of you who haven't watched my channel before, you have to know that I'm a big believer in the 4-year cycle theory, and not the 4-year cycle theory like you'd know it to be, right? A lot of people get a bad in understanding of the 4-year cycle theory. The 4-year cycle theory doesn't predict price. It predicts date ranges, right? Date range trend. And I've used this date range trend to predict the top in 2021 at around 60K. And I used this date range trend to predict the bottom in Q4 this year, likely to be in that October to December region. However, I'm narrowing this down a bit more now. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Before we do that, I'm going to get into some regular analysis, and then I'll tell you, in a second here. But essentially, what is the situation with Bitcoin right now? Just briefly, the situation is this. We had a pink macro uptrending line stemming from 2011 through to 2015, through to 2020, through to 2022. We've lost it. We're resistance support flipping from a downside. It's quite bearish. The short term, yeah, look, we could see a little bounce, but ultimately we've just broken a bear flag formation of a downside, and we can't be overly bullish here. Now, what I can say is that we are on support as well. So if you're planning on taking short positions, I'd be waiting on that a little bit. What is the support zone? It's 19.5K. 19.5K lines up for the support. It's become a support because of the resistance in 2020 and also the resistance for the 2017 all-time high. So right now, Bitcoin is on the 2017 all-time high support. That's not something you want to short, right? That's not something you want to short, not yet. But that's regardless of this entire video. That's not what I'm talking about in this video. What I want to talk about specifically, and after I talk about this, I'm going to be getting into a Q&A, so stick around for that or skip through to it if you want to. But what I want to talk about specifically is entirely new. Let's delete everything, okay? My bottom prediction on Bitcoin, and I reckon a decent proportion of people agree with me, what my bottom prediction is. It's Q4, and it's either at 17.5K, right, at a double bottom, or 11K to 13K. All right, and the reason I've come to that conclusion is because 17.5K is what a double bottom would look like, and that's generally what you'd expect in a bear market. But if we do go lower due to a recession, it would be the next major support zone, which is actually 11.5K to 13.8K, that green box. Now, knowing that, and knowing that my prediction is Q4, what we can do is this to narrow it down, because Q4 is very broad. That's a 3-month period, and we can start to narrow it down as we get closer and closer. We can draw this macro downtrending line, right? And this gives us a really good insight into where the bottom will be, because put it this way, right? We have to break this. If we come up to this line, we have two options. We can move down further, or we can break it. We can't just keep going sideways. That's not how macro resistance works. So two options, right? Break or move down. You'd assume that if we broke this line, especially this late into the cycle, if we broke this line, the bottom would be in. You'd assume that. And I'd probably agree with you there. Now, knowing that, we can draw in our two bottom targets, one of which is 17.5K, and one of which, at the lowest point, is 11.5K. And we can see that if we were to bottom at 17.5K, the latest we could possibly bottom out, is October 22nd. If we were to bottom at 11.5K, the latest we could possibly bottom out without breaking that macro line is December 3rd. So, on Bitcoin, it stands to reason, right, that if we bottom anywhere between here and 11.5K, which is very likely, we will be seeing a bottom before December 3rd, right? That's unique analysis. I haven't seen anyone do that analysis before, and I think that lines up pretty perfectly with my predictions here. So, the bottom on Bitcoin, as per my predictions of a Q4 bottom, I think is likely to be, yes, within Q4, but more likely to be within actually October and November, rather than just Q4 alone. Right? And if we were to bottom at 17.5K, it actually would likely be within October, right? That's very interesting, guys. It means that the bottom is a lot closer than people expect. People are getting really bearish. They're saying, oh, we're not going to bottom out for months and months and months and months. I don't agree with that. I actually don't agree with that at all. I think that the bottom is closer than a lot of people expect. Maybe not in terms of price, but in terms of date for sure. Date ranges, I 100% think it is, right? We've just seen a bear flag breakdown. We've got a rounding top formation here on Bitcoin as well. It's not good, and it would stand to reason we see a sharp drop at some point. And I think that, yeah, look, December seems a little far away for the bottom in my opinion. I think that it will be within October to November. And this is interesting. This has narrowed down our prediction a lot. And that's kind of the main thing I wanted to get into this video. Now, without further ado, now that you've digested that, take a little moment to think about that. Draw it up in your chart as well, because it's actually incredibly useful in terms of macro scale predictions. Now let's get into the Q&A. We've got about a dozen questions. I want to answer each and every single one of them for you guys. So stick around for that if you're interested. So the W says, is there a decent chance that the 2024 halving doesn't trigger a bull run if the macro situation is worse at that time? I don't think that's how it would work, right? I think if we saw the halving, we'd see a bull run regardless. Now, whether it'd be at the same scale or not is a different question, but we would see a bull run regardless. Now, I don't think the macro situation will be bad in 2024, by the way. I think a lot of people, again, overly bearish. I think people are getting ridiculously bearish. I think they underestimate the effect of rate hikes. We've seen inflation this high before. Yes, it's been long periods of time since we've seen it, and we've seen rate hikes do their job perfectly within a matter of like 2 years, right? And even less in some currencies. And, I think that, the macro situation will be great in 2024, but maybe not great, but decent, right? And I think that even if it wasn't, we would see something, because the halving is based on fundamentals, right? It doesn't matter what the macro is. We see pumps regardless. And looking at this and expanding on this further, people assume like, the macro determines everything for Bitcoin. It's like, it's not necessarily the case, right? Traditional markets didn't top out until January. Bitcoin topped out in November. By the time the traditional markets topped out, Bitcoin was down here at 34K, almost 50% down from its all-time high, right? So to act like Bitcoin is directly connected to everything the macro does is not an accurate assumption to make. It's vaguely connected. That's how I'd answer that question. All right, next question. I'm just going off the... I haven't read these before, by the way. Is there a chance that we have another 17.5k bottom in September, then a lower bottom at 13k closer to the year end? Yeah, I mean, totally possible. I mean, that would classify as a Q4 bottom, so that's totally possible. And if we're going to get to 13k, we'll test 17.5k. So yeah, totally possible. Hi, mate. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to quiz you. When will BTC decouple from traditional markets as it was designed to do? Also, do you think that the bottom could present itself during September with Mt. Gox and continuing Fed news regarding inflation? Cheers. So, I don't think Bitcoin will ever decouple from traditional markets so long as the traditional markets exist and are prominent, right? Because, yes, Bitcoin's intention is to be separate, but it's never going to be entirely separate, just simply the way people invest their money, right? When people sell assets, when economic hardship comes along, companies, people, it's all the same, individuals, they sell their assets. They don't hold Bitcoin and sell stocks. They sell Bitcoin and stocks. It's a snowball effect, right? So yes, the correlation might get less and less over time as Bitcoin gets stronger and stronger. But until the traditional markets are irrelevant, there will always be some sort of correlation, because it's important to remember, Bitcoin is not coupled to traditional markets. It's coupled to macro, right? So stocks going down doesn't mean Bitcoin goes down. Macro looking bad means Bitcoin and stocks look bad. And that's due to people's personal financial situations, right? So it's not like it's connected to traditional markets. It's connecting to how wealthy people are and how risk averse people are. And that's always going to be connected to each other. So yeah, I don't think it will ever decouple fully unless traditional markets actually pretty much die out entirely. Do I think the bottom could be in September? Yeah, I think it's possible. Look, September is a big month. No one's ever denying that. These pink lines here on this screen, CPI on the 13th, Ethereum merge on the 19th, FOMC on the 22nd, that's all in September. That's all within a 1 week, 2 week period. Those are big events, and we could definitely see the bottom in September. I'm not opposed to that at all. And if we were to see the bottom in September, yeah, look, it would be late September. And I think that if you're bottoming out on the 26th of September instead of October 1st, that's a Q4 bottom. That would still, in my opinion, validate the 4-year cycle theory. Look, I think it's more likely we'll bottom out later, but I think it's definitely possible. We're at the point now where we're so close to Q4 that, it doesn't really invalidate the prediction if we bottom out a week earlier. No, not especially when the prediction's a 3-month time frame. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I would lean towards actual Q4, but look, September's possible as well. It's certainly a big month. Look, and do you believe Bitcoin can remain at the top spot for foreseeable future? If Bitcoin were to lose its number one place, do you think it would affect the market and retail investors? I 100% do, because when people think of cryptocurrency, they think of Bitcoin. You ask anyone on the street who's not interested in crypto, doesn't know anything about crypto, the only thing they think is like, that's that Bitcoin thing, right? If crypto would take a massive hit if Bitcoin dies out. Marketing, it's all marketing. Regardless of what you think about Bitcoin fundamentally, if Bitcoin dies, right, this is a market that people deem to be super high risk. If the most safe coin in the ultra high risk market dies out, that's going to massively affect cryptocurrency. You don't want to see that happen. You don't want to see Bitcoin lose the top place. You don't want to see Bitcoin get hit. because that would change people's perceptions of crypto forever. It would be very, very bad in my opinion. I think the Bitcoin is the face of cryptocurrency. I think that the marketing is much more important than the fundamentals. What are your thoughts on ETC? Do you think ETC will reach this year, next year? Look, he's talking about Ethereum Classic. It's not a very specific question. Not many people will be interested in it. Essentially, my thoughts are this. I don't think you should be investing in any altcoins until the halving. I've got various reasons to back that up. Now, Ethereum Classic obviously has a different effect than most altcoins. It's not just a nothing. It's connected to Ethereum, and it's got that natural marketing boost. Like, it's got the name Ethereum. I mean, the name Ethereum in its name, Ethereum Classic, just gives it like 10x more value than most altcoins. Look, I don't know much about it fundamentally, to be honest with you, so I'm not going to answer the question any further than that. XRP, yeah, again, specific projects, I don't want to answer those questions. You should do a crypto YouTube tier list. I probably should, but I'd gain a lot of haters from that, I think. What is the risk of Ethereum? Will I have privacy if I hold in the long term? Will you have privacy if you hold in the long term? Privacy is a very interesting thing in cryptocurrency. People assume cryptocurrency is very private. I don't know if that's what you mean by the question. It's not private. Cryptocurrency is not private. It's more private than obviously traditional finance. But if you want privacy, you go to something like Monero. You go to something like Zcash, right? If you're buying 50% of Bitcoin at 17.5K and 50% at 11.5K to 13.8K, what would you do if we started to drop lower than that? Would you sell and buy back when you thought the trend was reversing, or just hold on? It's a very specific question. It would depend on the macro situation at that point in time. What I would say is that if the macro situation was looking good and Bitcoin continued to drop, I'd get the hell out and I wouldn't look back, right? Because that's an indication that crypto is actually really bad, in a bad situation. If the macro situation is bad and Bitcoin still looks bad, that is what it is. I'd probably just get back to short-term trading in it and lower my long-term position. But I'd have to answer that as it happened. I can't answer that right now. Is it really true that 90% of altcoins die out during the bear market? So only 3 out of the 30 coins I have on my favorite list will survive. This is my first bear. Okay, so essentially, yeah. Look, they don't die out during the bear market. And that dying out is subjective. They die out, or they're considered dead, when they fail to gain traction during the fresh bull market. That's a very important distinction to make. It's very impossible. It's actually impossible, to be honest with you. It's impossible to tell if an altcoin is dead in a bear market, because everything's dead in a bear market. Nothing is anything. It's whether it can regain attention during the bull market that matters. And I would say, just off the top of my head, yeah, 80 to 90% of altcoins, historically speaking, have died out. They've failed to gain anywhere near the amount of attention they had in the prior bull market, in the bull market that followed. So yeah, I'd say that's true entirely. Do you think the worldwide, I'm not going to say that word, and shutdowns in the economy slowed down the performance of Bitcoin in the last years and a bit? Pretend it never happened. Do you think Bitcoin would reach 100K in the absence? Oh, yeah, well, look, that's a very hard question to answer because no, I don't. I don't think it slowed it down. I actually think it sped it up, right? If you look at traditional markets and you look at the amount of money printing that happened, you know, the money that flowed into traditional markets, and it reached massively new all-time highs. But I mean, you look at the scale of which the S&P was going upwards before that word. I'm not going to say the word. And then you look when it happened, bang, just vertical. And seeing as that's all connected to Bitcoin, I think it actually helped Bitcoin a lot. Insane money printing does help markets in the short term, but it ruins them in the long term, unfortunately, and it ruins the economy. What do I do if all the positions I have right now are down 70 to 80%? Realize loss or hold? Hard to answer that kind of question. I'm not in that position. I don't want to answer it for you. Look, it depends what you're holding. It's really circumstantial. If you're holding altcoins, it depends what they are. But if they're just random top 200 altcoins, I'd say just cut your losses, to be honest with you, because it's very unlikely they'll get back to where they were. And if they do, it will take years and years. Now, if it's Bitcoin, that's a different question. I think we're closer to the bottom than we are to the top on Bitcoin. I think selling now after holding since 60K would just be... you're in a bad position regardless, but I think that the best thing to do would just be hold at that point. Ethereum price prediction for the merge. Thanks. Don't have one. This is great. I need your recommendation on 4 altcoins, please. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Watch my video 2 days ago. I don't recommend long-term buying altcoins until the halving. In your opinion, what do you think BTC is most correlated to? The macro situation. The macro. It's not the DXY. It's not the S&P. That's all connected, but it's correlated directly to the macro. Bitcoin short squeeze scenario, your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, look, it's possible. I don't think we're ready for a short squeeze. We just broke down from a bear flag. If we're going to see one, we'd know because we'd break the downtrending yellow line that I covered in this video. I don't think we're ready for a short squeeze. We've just seen a pump. I don't think it's ready for it. How would you invest 5K? Please answer. I'm a brokey. How would I invest 5K? Well, it depends. Would you invest it? I would invest it. I would trade with 5K. I'd learn how to trade and trade with 5K, because 5K I think is a amount of money that is small enough. Well, obviously it depends on your personal financial situation, but it's small enough to not really matter too much for 2x's. And even if it's 3x's, it doesn't really matter too much. I think trading with it would be, the best case scenario. Now, I don't recommend people just chuck it into an altcoin and hope for 100x. I think if you're going to invest, regardless of the amount of money you invest with, you invest in assets that actually are going to do well for you. And I think Bitcoin's going to do well for you. And I think that if it was a bull market right now, I'd tell you to put it in altcoins, but it's not. It's a bear market. And my opinion on bear markets is altcoins don't perform well. Bitcoin performs okay. That's generally what I'd say. So I'd either trade or I'd chuck it in Bitcoin at the right time. What would you do for $1 million in crypto now? Depends how much money I have. Anyway, guys, that's the video. And stick around for these things at the end here. Cheers. If you're interested in becoming a VIP member with the Wolves Crypto YouTube channel, you can go to my YouTube homepage and you can click on the join button. This will open up a tab that shows you all of the perks you get for becoming a VIP. I'll quickly go through them now. There's 4 trading setups per week in spot and short positions, which is the main thing that people join for. Additionally, you've got prioritized reply to comments, meaning I will prioritize replying to your comments over people who are the free subscribers, the free channel members, because obviously as the channel grows, there's going to be more and more comments. I'm not going to be able to get back to all of them. And so the VIP members, I will prioritize getting back to first. We've got a 2-hour lecture on market psychology, which many people have said to me is the most valuable video I have made. And then we've also got exclusive Telegram group access, where you gain access to a Telegram group in which VIP members share charts and discuss trading strategies and ideas and the signals that I post into the VIP group as well. All of that is just 40 AUD a month, which works out to be around 28 USD a month. If you're looking for an exchange to use for cryptocurrency trading and you're sick of your current exchange, or you're just looking for a better exchange, I'd highly recommend you sign up to the BitGet Exchange. There's many reasons for that. The first reason being it's non-KYC, which means it lines up with the fundamental values of cryptocurrency, decentralization on your end, which is perfect. It's also got 5 times lower fees than Binance, which is insanely cheap, which means you'll be saving a massive amount of money by trading on this exchange, which of course is one of your main intentions. On top of that, so it's 5 times less fees than Binance, it's decentralized, and on top of that, not your keys, not your crypto. That's not really a massive problem with this exchange, because they've got a protection fund, which they've dedicated 6,000 Bitcoin and over $100 million into that protection fund in order to secure the funds of the users. Meaning, if something happens on the exchange and you lose your funds, it's not guaranteed, but there's a very good chance that you'll be able to recover those funds through use of the exchange's protection fund. And the last thing as well is if you sign up using my referral link, which by the way would support the channel, I would highly recommend you do that, which you can find in the description below. If you sign up using my referral link, you can gain access to a reward center as well and gain access to over 4,000 USD in rewards by completing various tasks. So lastly, I'll just say it again, please sign up using my referral link. It takes 5 minutes and it helps out the channel a lot. Thanks, guys. I'd also like to give a quick shout out to the Crypto Academy. This is a course developed by myself and MegaWorld Crypto. We're teaching people how to trade. Become a trader, a 10-unit course is like the title, a 10-unit course that teaches people how to become traders. We teach people how to analyze charts. We teach people how to take profitable trades, how to master TA, whatever it may be. You can go on the website and you can read a bit about this, but ultimately I'll give you a quick rundown, 10 units, starting from fundamental cryptocurrency concepts, going through to technical analysis, going through to market patterns, indicators, candlestick formations, profitable mindsets and psychology, and then finally how to find trades. We've got about 450 slides, 80 videos, 8 worksheets, and a trading diary, which means we're targeting all of the core psychological groups of how to learn things, right? We've got visual learners, we've got verbal learners, we've got people who learn using practical skills like practice. We've got many different things there. We're targeting all those groups. We've also done an extensive market analysis on what TA courses are currently available. And we can tell you right now, for the price you're paying for this course, and in general, this is the most extensive course you will find that finds all of the information relevant to teach you how to trade, gives you lifetime access after a one-time payment. So if you're interested in finding out more about the course, go ahead and email cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com and we'll get back to you with all the relevant information. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.